Hi, you all. This is me, Summer Kennard, and I want to talk to you now about something that's very important to me. This is a subject that we're covering in the book that I'm working on now called Our Autistic Home. Now, I don't have a book cover to show you because I'm not finished writing the book, but I am doing a kind of substantial video series to go with the book. So I wanted to get started before I even get the book out to you. Hopefully, it's going to be out at the end of this month. And if not, it's going to be out in January. Um, I do have an all autistic household, and I have only just recovered from having COVID last March. So we're doing what we can. Today, I want to talk to you about our first A and the ABCs of our autistic home. And that first A is attention. So, attention is something that people don't realize is basically the biggest deal of how you intervene or communicate or try to make people feel at home whenever you're talking with autistic people. Now, I'm going to talk about this from the point of view of children. Some in my book are like parenting children or caregiving for children, but also as someone who's an autistic adult. So it doesn't matter which age you are, everyone has the same order of attention. And I will talk to you a little bit about that in just a minute. But what I want to do, the reason I'm going to tell you about the order of attention is because I want people to shift their understanding of people who they interact with, their autistic family members, or even their autistic selves, from behavior management to attention management. Because once you have somebody's attention, or once you can manage your own attention, you can self regulate. And once you have a child's attention, you can communicate. So I'm going to go through something and I'm going to use my hand and I'm going to tell you four things. This is the order of attention that everybody has. Everybody who's alive, who has a brain stem, has the same order of attention. It does not matter. And it happens before you can process it, but this is what everyone's brain does. Like, this is how your body just works, everyone. So, number one, you feel first. Feel first. FEEL first. Okay. I'm saying that because I know I have an accent and sometimes my caption's messed up. So, you need to know feel first. Whenever I say feel, I don't just mean your emotions, but your emotions and your bodily sensations. So, those things actually go together. Whenever you feel first, this includes things like, am I hot? Am I cold? Am I hungry? Am I thirsty? Do I have to go to the bathroom? So those interoception things, but also whether you're comfortable in a room. Do you feel cozy? Are you safe? Do you perceive that you're safe? Is it too loud? Is it too bright? So these sensory things sort of come into this. And also, am I sad? Am I happy? Am I scared? Am I overwhelmed? Am I too tired? Am I like really excited? Okay. You feel first. You process attention first through your feelings, no matter what, no matter who you are, no matter what your abilities or disabilities, you feel first. The second thing is you see second. Now, if you are blind or visually impaired and you can't see, well, then the corollary process works here. But I'm going to continue to saying see second because for most people, this is how you're going to process. Everyone feels first, everyone sees second. So if I am in a room and let's say my feelings are okay, I am calm, I feel safe. Okay, now I can pay attention to the next thing. But I'm not sure what to do yet. I look around me and I see stuff first. So I'm going to pay attention next to what I see. This is really important whenever you want to talk about interventions, also, because interventions that are not visual first are missing out on a lot. So, if you're a parent of a child who is nonverbal, for instance, three of my children were nonverbal. You might be able to hear them all yelling in the background right now because it's Friday night and they're about to watch something on Disney Plus, right? So they're all in there making a lot of noise right now, which is because they're not nonverbal anymore. Now, our goal wasn't to make them verbal. Our goal was to communicate with them. And to do that, we use something called AAC, which is another one of our A's, and that will be another video. But I want to let you know a little bit about it now because of this order of attention. You feel first, you see second. If You want to get someone's attention, and now they're starting to try to communicate how they feel. You're aware of their feelings, they're aware of their feelings. And you have something visual, and you can have a visual language. This is called a vocabulary core board, a core vocabulary board. This is a very simple, very portable form of AAC, which is, I'll talk about it again later. The reason I'm telling you this is because a lot of speech therapists have been trained to use this as a last ditch effort, and it should be a first line effort. Because when you're talking about teaching somebody to communicate, you need to give them the skills that match their attention. The first thing, help them with a sensory diet so that you can feel okay. And the second thing, give them visual language aids, okay? Because not only is this something that they can see, it's something you can model while you talk or do anything else. So that's important. And I will get back to AAC later. This is a visual schedule that I made for the Orthodox Church liturgy. It's on my website for free. I put my website in the comments. You just go and look on the special needs resources tab. I'm going to change that to disability resources tab, but I did special needs because it's a keyword that people look up. So don't get mad at me because I didn't say disabled. I know it's not a bad word. Okay. I consider myself and my family disabled. So we're not trying to pick a fight there. But this is a free thing, for instance, because once again, you feel first, you see second. So if you want to teach children, or if you want to guide yourself or manage your own attention, it can really help you instead of, for instance, if you want to do a time management thing. I do have one. Good. I was like, I think I have this nearby. I do, because I get a lot done in terms of writing. For someone who writes very, very part-time, I get a lot of writing done. And the way I do it is with this. It's a visual timer. I'm managing my attention. So I feel first, I see second. Whenever you're doing a timer, you need a visual timer, because then that tells you, then your attention can cue off of that and move forward. Now, the third thing, so let me make sure I turn this off because I'm going to turn it. I didn't want it to beep at you. The third thing, so we feel first, we see second, we think third. Now, this is incredibly important because thinking is where words come in. One of the things that a lot of times people get frustrated with whenever, let's say they have a child who's autistic and they're neurotypical, or maybe they're not, or they just don't know about themselves and they're autistic. Let's assume something that I see a lot online in like autism moms groups or something. The mom will come in and say, I don't understand my kid. I told them to do such and such and they didn't listen. I'm like, oh, they couldn't hear you. Their attention wasn't available. You feel first, you see second, you think third. If I go up to somebody who is terrified, their feelings, bing, 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 all of their attention is on whatever's scaring them, okay? Or somebody who is so overwhelmed by a sensory input and can't regulate out of that, they're not hearing anything. In fact, they might not be seeing anything. So what I need to do is help them first to feel safe and to feel like they're in control of their feelings. And once I do that, and this can also be, let's say you're neurotypical and you're like, well, I don't know what a sensory diet is. You've been hangry before, right? And you know that you can't actually pay very close attention to anything when you're really hungry, you get hangry. Okay, this is also part of the order of attention. Feel first, see second, think third. Now, if you go up to somebody who is really dysregulated in that first thing and you try to give them a verbal instruction, they probably can't pay attention to you. Like they physically can't. Like their brain is like, no, you're not, it's not available, because these levels of attention are cumulative. You have to have the first one in order before you can do the second one. Now, the second one and first one are very closely connected. And all this happens like in split seconds. So I'm telling you all this as though it's a slow thing, because sometimes you're going to have to break it down and go feel first, see second, think third, and I'll get to the fourth one in a minute. Sometimes you're going to have to do that and go and tick off your list. What can I do to help on these levels of attention? But in general, if someone is regulated and you have their first levels of attention, it's going to happen so fast, you're not even going to see it happening. I say for autistic people like me and my family, I teach my kids, we do not have, what I tell them is we have overly complex brains. We have extra attention to give. We don't filter out as much. We have more. So whenever you're trying to steer a bigger ship, sometimes you have to use more tools, okay? This is not a flaw, it's a feature if you can get it right. But it can be hard to understand at first. So that's why I'm giving you this tool. You feel first, you see second, you think third. So if you are trying to think about something in your life and you say, "Come on, buck up me. I just need to do this." Oh, those words aren't even getting through to you. Go back and check on your body. Maybe you have to go to the bathroom. Maybe you're really hungry. Maybe you're kind of scared and you're in like an uncomfortable place. Don't make yourself buck up. Don't lie to yourself. Your brain literally will not do it. Okay. It can't. So, this is not some sort of willpower issue. This is your attention. You're going to manage your attention, not your behavior. Because once you manage your attention, you can self regulate your behavior. Okay. The other thing is if a child is melting down, you can't say stop. They're not going to hear you. They can't hear you. If a child is melting down, or that's what we call it whenever someone's really overwhelmed or overloaded. Usually sometimes that can be a very loud experience for the observer or for the person. In the book that just came out with Two She Flew from my press, the protagonist has screaming meltdowns, and that is something that a lot of people have whenever they're children, especially, where somebody will just be so overwhelmed that they start to yell. Okay, so that's for instance, when if you go to someone who's screaming, they're not going to hear you if you say, "Hey, you're safe," or "Hey, stop doing that." They're not hearing you because you feel first, you see second, you think third. If you have someone in meltdown, you have to help them feel okay, feel safe. Sorry, you can't say okay anymore because people turn it into an evil sign. I'm not doing evil signs. That was not some sort of gang sign. That was me growing up a long time ago and being older than you. Okay. Um, that used to just mean something different. Right. So feel first, see second, think third. Now, here's the fourth one, friendly fourth. Friendly fourth is how I describe joint attention or triadic attention. And this is where learning comes in, where we can teach and learn and interact with each other. This is where love comes in. Well, that's also a feeling. It's connected, okay? But any sort of expression, that's where cooperation comes in. And that has to come out of the autistic person's self-regulation. That is a partnership. You cannot do that unless the person who's autistic is participating fully. So that's a participatory thing, friendly fourth. Now, if you have someone who's uncooperative, let's say you're a caregiver for someone who's autistic, a little kid or something, and they won't do what you say, they won't follow verbal instructions, and they're not getting along well with their peers. I hear a lot of people who sometimes say things like, they're manipulative and all these other things. And I'm actually going to do a second A on anger, by the way, to talk about that whole problem of thinking someone's manipulative when they're not. We're going to talk about that in another video. But for this one, let's just say that's usually not the case. Pay attention to attention first, not behavior, but attention. We have this saying in the disability community for invisible disabilities and developmental issues, and we could call it behavior is communication. And this is something, I don't know who first said it, but we all say it now everywhere. So behavior is communication. If somebody is not doing that, first assume they can't, not that they won't. So that's a little tip. And if you know what the order of attention is, and you're going to manage attention and not behavior, because your behavior is actually a self-regulation thing. I'm in charge of my body. You're in charge of your body. Little Kristen's in charge of her body. Okay. Joe's in charge of his body. We're in charge of our own bodies. Okay. So we're going to manage attention. We feel first, we see second, we think third. We're friendly fourth. If I have somebody who is showing a behavior issue, I need to go back to the beginning because these things, this order of attention is cumulative. So a lot of times, I think probably in my experience, almost always, the problem comes at the first level of attention. It's not somebody not listening to you. It's not somebody being unfriendly. It's not somebody not wanting to cooperate. Almost always in my experience, it's somebody not feeling okay. Now, the good news is that you can use these, it's not always as effective to use words, the third, thinking third, to talk to someone who feels unsafe. That often doesn't help. It can, depending on the age of the person and how much they're regulating. But it usually helps to do a visual language. So one of the first things that I used to teach my children whenever they were little, and I don't actually have it here because this is not a pod. We used a pod, which is another type of AAC, which I'll get to in another video. But oh yeah, I do have this. Okay. I used to do this. I would look at their body language, and if they were like, sad or something, I would say, I don't like this. And I would just point to it. I don't like this. Or if they were happy looking, I would say, I like this. Every single thing I said to them started with, I like this or I don't like this. Why? To connect what they were seeing and what they were thinking and what I was seeing and what I was thinking about them and with them to how they felt. Because the first part of attention is feeling. Once you can let people move out of their feelings and be able to express themselves, you can give a lot of gifts. So once you know that you feel first, you see second, you think third, and you're friendly fourth, then you can go through and troubleshoot each of those 4 things. Now, in the book, Our Autistic Home, which I will be publishing soon, I'm still writing it. I have a lot to say about this and how to do each one of those things, how to troubleshoot each one. For instance, the AAC thing in the second one, but also how these different levels of attention interact is very important. Whenever you talk about thinking is, problem solving, coming up with strategies. Once you have someone pretty calm and like able to participate a bit, you can do the sky's the limit. And whenever you have what's called joint attention, where you are able to pay attention together to something else, that's like the creme de la creme of attention. That's what I called friendly fourth. Once you have that, you can do anything because you're relationship building, and this all builds back upon itself. So these things not only go in order, but they're also cumulative. So if I am building a relationship with my family member or with my friend, then I am going to be able to engage in feel first, see second, think third, friendly fourth, and then our friendliness and our good relationship is going to go back and build on the feeling of safety so that when we interact again, the next time we get together, I'm going to be aware because I can think, right? Okay. I paid attention to what my friend liked and didn't like, and I'm going to set up the environment a little bit different for them so they feel safer in it. Or I'm going to do things that make plans that will engage those positive emotions. The other thing is that whenever you have a good feeling about someone or something, you develop what's called a gut feeling, right? That gut feeling is like an actual neurological thing. And it doesn't just build your relationship, which it does, but it builds your memories. Your memories are actually based around those gut feelings. So if I come into a room and over time, I develop a relationship with my kids where they feel safer and safer and we have good attachment and what have you. Because I'm using my kids as an example because the whole point of Our Autistic Home is that there's 7 of us and we're all autistic. Okay. So if I am talking to my children and I'm building that relationship over time, and I know that they're feeling how to make them feel safe, right? For the feel first and engage that attention. They're actually going to, over time, be able to remember better and learn better. So if I am aware of the order of attention, feel first, see second, think third, friendly fourth, and I use that knowledge to, with awareness and compassion and kindness, teach them, then in a future teaching, my children will actually remember more of what we're learning. So I think most people have had the experience of when you were so stressed out, you didn't absorb anything. That's because the order of attention is hardwired into every human being. You feel first, see second, think third, friendly fourth. You couldn't understand and process thinking third because you didn't feel safe. And sometimes also, I know with visual thinkers, they need to see second. A lot of times what that means is that, you require a bridge, and that's totally normal. There's nothing wrong with that. Some people this is like the brain is so interesting and weird that in the middle of your brain is music. That's where everything comes through, like, everything in your brain sort of meets at the part that engages music, but also the visual parts of your brain are very close there. So anytime you're talking about building attention, building relationships, building learning, you need to know how attention works, because as you build that attention, you also build connections across your brain, side to side and front to back. So those are all really cool things. I will talk a lot more about this in the book, Our Autistic Home, which is coming out from Parkin Books either at the end of this month or in January 2021. So thank you for joining me as we talked about attention. And I will be coming back on here every few days or so to do the rest of the ABCs of Our Autistic Home. And I will be talking soon about AAC, which is a type of communication aid. It's especially useful for kids, but honestly, if you've never used it, if you're autistic, you might really enjoy it. Um, it's not just for kids. There's ways to incorporate it in your daily life, no matter what age you are. And it also helps people who are neurotypical, because these are accessible practices, and accessibility is best practices for everybody. It doesn't mean, oh, just something weird for someone who's unusual. It's actually best practices for everybody. We may sometimes have needs that seem extraordinarily intense, but we can meet them in very ordinary ways that can be universally healing and universally good and universally helpful. So, wanted to let you know about that. We're also going to talk specifically about anger. And the reason I'm going to talk about that is whenever you are interacting with someone who's autistic, who maybe you don't understand them, there's a lot of misunderstanding just in not knowing how brains work. So we're going to talk about that because there's a bit of a hack. And I'm going to do that in another video because I want you to be able to find these and just watch them. So we're going to do anger, we're going to do AAC, and I think I have a couple of other A's. And we're going to go through the A's, and then I'm going to go straight through the alphabet and talk to you about stuff. And then it's all going to be in the book as well. But I know a lot of us really like to talk on video instead. So thanks for joining me talking about attention. Again, I'm Summer Kennard. I am the senior editor of Parkin Books, but I'm also an author, and I'm writing this book, Our Autistic Home, to bring the insights of my all autistic family. My husband, me, and our 5 children are all autistic. Our family home and how we thrive. I want to bring that to other people so that they can thrive and help their autistic family members thrive. So thank you so much for joining me, and I will talk to you again soon.